Joined now by the White House's Strategic Communications Coordinator for National Security, and that is John Kirby. John, it's good to see you. Let me start. Look, this is unmitigated. This is great news for the Griner family. This is a relief for the Griner family. But this is a great day for Russia's policy. How do you square it?
This is not a new thing for Mr. Putin to do, to wrongfully detain Americans and then try to exact some kind of price for it. Sadly, not a new thing for him. We focused on the deal we could get. And I understand the rhetoric out there. I understand the argument that Mr. Bout's a bad guy and now he's on the street again. I'll tell you this. Nobody's doing backflips here, Chuck, about the fact that Mr. Bout is a free man. We're going to continue to make sure we can defend our national security interests. And if Mr. Bout wants to get back into his own line of work, then we're going to do what we have to do to hold him accountable. But it was important as well that we make good our promise to Americans that are wrongfully detained overseas, that we're going to get them home. This was not an easy decision for the president to make. It was a courageous decision, and he believes it was the right thing to do in the end, so that Brittney Griner didn't have to spend yet one more day in a penal colony for a crime she didn't even commit.
Does this mean the American government does negotiate with terrorists?
This means that the American government will make the hard decisions, as difficult as some of them have to be, to look after the safety and security of Americans wrongfully detained around the world. What message would it send the world, let alone the American people, if we just let these people languish forever and not make any effort to get them home?
I understand that, but the White House has actually actively worked against private citizens in other cases at times, lecturing private citizens and paying ransoms, for instance, to get detained Americans home. It does feel like there's not one policy anymore. That you,
well, let me just,
so try to square that, because again, I know of, and you and I may know of the same private citizen, but we know of some private citizens that try to work around, and the administration doesn't like it when there's negotiating on that front. But here you were negotiating essentially with a terrorist in Vladimir Putin. We
were negotiating with Russian officials for the release of Brittney Griner. We are today, Chuck, negotiating and talking to the Russian and those same officials about getting Paul Whelan home, and that's not going to stop. We are doing it in other countries all around the world, as you would expect we would. And woe to us if we weren't willing to sit down and have discussions with people with whom we have very significant differences, like the Russians, if we weren't looking after American citizens. Now, there are lots of efforts go on at various levels, not always in the U.S. government, to help us do that. But this was a U.S. government deal.
No, I understand that, but there's times when the U.S. government frowns upon it when it's done, and here the U.S. government is leaning forward to do it. And trust me, if I were that American citizen, I'd want the government to do whatever it took to get me out. Hard stop. But, as you know, how does this not only encourage more kidnappings of prominent Americans if they go overseas?
Sadly, kidnappings and wrongful detentions are not something new. Brittney was not the first one, clearly. And there will be more, sadly, going forward. And what we're trying to do is we've put some additional sanctions in place to try to inhibit hostage-taking, as it were. We've also now worked with the State Department to label countries as detention risk. We recommend that if you're going to travel, an American, travel overseas for pleasure or for business, that you go to the State Department's website, you look at what the designation is for the country that you're going in, so that you can go in informed about the potential risk. And if you're wrongfully detained, even if you do everything right, and you get wrongfully detained, you need to know that the President of the United States, President Biden, is going to do what he has to do to try to get you home to your family. And sometimes he's willing to even make very difficult decisions like this one to make it happen.
So let's talk about Paul Whelan a minute here, John, because, you know, from the outside perspective, it's a head scratcher that a notorious arms dealer wasn't a good enough swap for Paul Whelan as far as the Russians are concerned. Why do you believe the Russian government values Paul Whelan so much?
I wish I could get into their brains and answer that question for you. I'm afraid I don't have the ability to do that. What I can tell you, though, Chuck, is that they view Mr. Whelan very differently, certainly differently than Ms. Griner or other wrongfully detained individuals. They have levied espionage charges against him, which are, of course, a sham.
They think he's someone important, and we are We keep telling him he's not. Correct?
Well, look, I think they think that he is in a different category. I'll let them talk about how important they think he is, but he's certainly in a different category to them than Miss Griner was. And try as we did, and we did try hard to get them both out. And we tried various permutations, different offers, different proposals. I won't go into the details now because we're still negotiating for his release, but we tried to be flexible. They were inflexible when it came to Mr. Whalen. Okay, so now we know where we are. Now we know, we've done a lot of negotiation with the Russians. I think we have a better understanding here, and so we're going to continue to work other options going forward.
Do you buy this Mike Memoli theory here that that different political moments that that Putin doesn't want to ever look like he's helping Biden, but once a certain mile marker is passed or a poll is passed or an election is passed, suddenly there's a window of opportunity? Is there something to it?
I don't think so, Chuck. Again, who knows what Putin's thinking on any given day. What I can tell you, as we negotiated this, though, Chuck, we didn't pick up any hints or feigns towards the U.S. domestic political situation. That wasn't part and parcel of it. So, again, if that was in the back of their minds, I guess I could let them speak to that. We've been working on this one for months, and there was no indication that domestic U.S. politics played a role.
John Kirby, who coordinates communications for all sorts of parts of the national security team here at the United States. Your title is extraordinarily long and confusing at times. You're John Kirby. It's good to see you.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.